Did you know someone played golf on the moon?
That's impossible!
Hey, curious kids. Kevin here. Today on A Place Called Space, we are talking about who was the first American in space. So the first human in space was not American. Nope, we didn't do it. He was Russian. His name was Yuri Gagarin, and he launched into space on April 12, 1961, with his spacecraft Vostok 1. The Russians were the first to put a human in space and to orbit the Earth, with Yuri, who went around once in 108 minutes before he re-entered, ejected from his capsule, and parachuted down to Earth. Now, the United States wasn't just sitting idly by, like, oh, that's cool. No, the United States, NASA, was actively trying to put someone in space first. But, as we know, the Russians beat us to it. Just a few weeks after Yuri went into space on April 12, 1961, on May 5th, 1961, NASA launched Alan Shepard into space from Cape Canaveral, Florida. They did it just a little bit later. Alan was chosen from 110 shortlisted test pilots. He was a Navy test pilot himself. There were 3 requirements from NASA for those first astronauts. Number 1, you have to be younger than 40 years old. Number 2, you have to have a bachelor's degree or equivalent. And number 3, you have to be under 1.8 meters or 5 feet 11 inches tall to fit inside the space capsule. So I'm a little too big at 6'4", so I wouldn't have been able to be it, but I wasn't alive back then. So we have Alan Shepard, who is sitting atop the Redstone rocket, which was originally an Army missile, by the way. Strap yourself to a missile. In his Mercury capsule that he named Freedom 7. 7 because NASA's first selected 7 astronauts were called the Mercury 7. And they were, of course, Alan Shepard, John Glenn, Gus Grissom, Deke Slayton, Scott Carpenter, Wally Schirra, and Gordon Cooper. Now, Alan Shepard's capsule was only about like 1/3 the size of Yuri's Vostok 1, but he made it work. Now, there were some delays in getting him launched, so he's just sitting there, waiting, and eventually he has to pee. Yeah, and he can't come out. So NASA tells him, hey, just let it go. So yeah, the first American in space peed his pants on the launch pad as instructed by NASA.
Everybody my age pees their pants, it's the coolest!
It's kind of funny. All right. Finally, it's launch time. It is being broadcasted on live TV all across America. Everyone, everywhere is watching, so it better work. And it does. It is a success. It launches and Alan Shepard goes up 116 miles high into space. Unfortunately, he doesn't see any stars because his window was pointed towards Earth, which he was only able to see in black and white because of a filter that was left on the porthole. Man, bummer. But that's not it. He also was strapped in so tight that he didn't even get to feel weightlessness. Just buckled down, not being able to float. He was up there for 15.5 minutes before re-entering and splashing down with his spacecraft 300 miles downrange in the Atlantic Ocean. He was the first human to land with a craft coming back from space. Take that, Yuri.
Take that!
Who ejected and parachuted down, remember? But Yuri did orbit the Earth. Shepard did not. His flight was suborbital, which means he got into space but didn't get into orbit around Earth. The first American to orbit Earth was John Glenn, one of the Mercury 7 astronauts, and Alan Shepard's backup for the Freedom 7 launch. So since John was Alan's backup on that day, they did everything the same up until it came to suit up and go into the capsule. They had breakfast together, and their breakfast has become an astronaut pre-launch tradition. They always have the same thing. They have orange juice, steak, and eggs. All right, it's a pretty decent breakfast, right? All right, another important figure played a crucial role in Shepard's flight. I'm really hoping that you've heard of her. Her name is Katherine Johnson, and she did the trajectory analysis for his flight. She also did the trajectory analysis for Alan Shepard's next big flight. He went back to space, unlike Yuri. On February 15, 1971, he was part of the Apollo 14 mission to land and walk on the moon. And now, we come full circle from the intro. Alan Shepard is the one who played golf on the moon. He hit 2 balls with a makeshift 6-iron.
It looked like a slice to me, Al. Here we go. 3 at a time. One more. Miles and miles and miles.
Now, the golf club is in a museum, and the golf balls, well, they are still on the moon. Maybe someone will bring them back one day. Now on to trivia. The answer to last week's question of what is the largest moon in our solar system is C, Ganymede. It's around Jupiter. This week's question is, which of the following does not have a moon? Is it A, Pluto, B, Mars, C, Uranus, or D, Venus? Tune in next week to get your answer. Always be curious.